1,000 years after humanity spread across space, people built new lives on many worlds. Some landed on beautiful planets, others did not. Most of its surface was a deadly swamp, crawling with strange life and almost impossible to cross. But humans still built a city there, a cold city where the system watched everyone, judged everyone, and made every choice for them. Your work, your future, even the person you were supposed to marry. Christy hated all of it. She hated the life they forced on her, and she hated the man they tied her to even more. When she tried to break away, the system crushed her. She was arrested and taken with other prisoners to a facility outside the city. There, the truth was obvious. This was not a trial, it was just a cleaner way to get rid of people. The prisoners were scanned, and their lives were reduced to data on a screen for the president to review. Among them was a quiet man with a bag over his head. The guards treated him differently, making it clear he mattered. The captain gave the exiles their sentence. Officially, they had a chance. If they could travel 300 kilometers due east through the swamps, they might reach the Islands of Happiness, the only safe place beyond city. If they made it, they would earn redemption. Everyone knew the truth. This was a death sentence with extra steps. Before the group was sent out, the guards pushed Irvin forward while the border fence was supposedly turned off. But Irvin did not trust them for a second. Instead of walking ahead, he threw a stone. Sparks flashed. The electric barrier was still active. When that failed, the guards were forced to continue legally. Irvin's bag was removed, the others were brought out, and a metal supply box was dropped near them. Inside was the bare minimum the law allowed. A little food, a few tools, and almost no hope. The captain warned that once the hour was over, anyone near the prison would be wiped out. Maria panicked. She insisted she had done nothing wrong and tried to run back toward the city, but Christy stopped her in time, saving her from the electrified barrier. Yost stepped forward. Experienced, he acted like survival belonged to him alone. A giant creature suddenly burst up from underground. Its body looked like a twisted living plant. It reacted to vibration, hunting anything that moved carelessly across the ground. It was brief, but enough. Everyone understood the swamps were alive and hungry. As soon as it passed, the prisoners rushed the supply box. Irvin did the opposite. While the others fought, he stayed calm. He took only what mattered, a knife and a few tools. When Christy picked up something that would only slow her down, he made her drop it. He was calculating. Yost declared that the group's only chance was to follow him to an old prison settlement in the swamps, where exiles and outcasts had once lived. Most accepted that. It sounded more believable than some island no one had ever seen. But Irvin refused. He asked for his legal share of the food and equipment, and when Yost refused, Irvin pressed a knife to another prisoner. If harming another exile would bring punishment from the guards, then Yost could not risk calling his bluff. He handed over the supplies. Then Irvin asked for the empty metal box. Irvin wanted it badly enough to trade away more food for it. Christy could not understand why that box mattered, but she was starting to see that Irvin always had a reason. Christy tried to help Maria, but Irvin stopped her. He told her Maria would never survive out there, and taking her along would only get them both killed. That was Irvin's mindset. No illusions. Every decision was about odds. When Christy asked why he had chosen her, he answered with brutal honesty. Because she was light. She could walk ahead and test the unstable ground without sinking as deeply. He was stronger, so he could haul the heavy box and manage the gear. Two people, balanced weight, better chances. That was it. Survival, not romance. The two of them tied themselves together with rope and headed into the swamp, while Yost led the others his own way. Before long, Lila came after them and asked to join. She even offered supplies. But before Irvin could answer, gunfire suddenly tore across the swamp. Irvin and Christy dropped for cover. When the shooting stopped, Lila was still untouched. The bullets were meant for him, not her. She was connected to whoever was hunting him. Furious and exposed, Lila was left behind as Irvin and Christy crawled onward with the metal box shielding them from another shot. As they moved deeper into the wasteland, strange slug-like creatures began gathering on the box. Christy was disgusted, but Irvin explained they were harmless unless eaten in large amounts. Not long after, a distant shot echoed behind them. One of the supposed prisoners had stayed too close to the prison and was eliminated. Officially, that was the story. Inside the city, the truth was uglier. The president was furious that Irvin was still alive. The failed attempt at the fence had not worked, and the hidden agents had also failed. Christy finally asked whether the Islands of Happiness were even real. Irvin believed they were. If there were truly no way to survive out here, the government would not have needed to cheat. They tried to murder him before the journey even started. That meant there was something out there worth reaching. Later, near a small spring, Christy tried to wash up. Irvin suddenly warned her not to move. For a second, she thought he was the danger. Then she saw what he had seen. A whip-like creature rising out of the ground behind her, crackling with electricity. Irvin threw himself at it before it could strike. The thing wrapped around him and tore into his chest while he shouted for Christy to cut it at the base. She grabbed the knife and did exactly that, forcing the creature back underground. Irvin survived, badly hurt, and kept the severed piece, turning it into a weapon. While patching his wound, Christy finally revealed why she was there. She had tried to get legal freedom from the life forced on her, but the official handling her case tried to take advantage of her. She fought back, killed him, and the system labeled her a criminal. Elsewhere, that might have been self-defense. Here, it earned her exile. Just's group found them again. Just wanted the box, believing Irvin had chosen it for a reason. But this time, Irvin was ready. Using the electric creature as a whip, he drove them back and kept moving. Just did not give up. He simply followed from a distance, waiting for Irvin to reveal the safest path. Irvin noticed signs of danger ahead and immediately ordered Christy to get down and stay perfectly still. Small growths were sticking out of the ground nearby, warning him that one of those vibration-hunting monsters was close. Just's group kept moving, unaware. Seconds later, the creature erupted from beneath them. One prisoner panicked and ran. That single mistake sealed his fate. The monster locked onto the movement, grabbed him, and dragged him down. The others froze in horror, finally understanding too late that on XT-59, sometimes standing still is the only thing keeping you alive. Christy was horrified and angry. She demanded to know why Irvin had not warned them, but Irvin's answer was simple. If he had shouted, the creature might have turned toward them instead. In his mind, survival always came first. Back in the city, the president changed his orders. Now, he wanted Irvin brought back alive. That confirmed Irvin was not just another prisoner. He knew something dangerous. When she asked how he could predict so much, Irvin finally told her the truth. He was a mathematician, a man who could read people, patterns, and danger like they were all parts of the same equation. Christy tried to learn more, but exhaustion hit first. Then the swamp moved again. Christy woke to a strange sound and looked into the dark. What she saw was nightmare fuel, a huge wave of small creatures rushing toward them across the ground. And just like that, any hope of rest was over. Christy's first instinct was to run, but Irvin shoved her back. Irvin snapped his electric whip and kept the creatures off long enough to drag Christy into the metal box he had carried all this way. The swarm crashed over it like a living wave. The whole thing shook hard enough to feel like it would split open, but it held. Christy could barely breathe. She asked why he had pushed her away when she tried to help. Irvin answered bluntly. He could take risks with himself. He could not take them with her. She was too important to the journey. When the noise finally died, they climbed out and saw deep dents over the box. It looked half destroyed, but it had saved them. After that, they left it behind and moved on with only the gear they truly needed. Soon, they reached the real swamp. They used poles to test the ground before putting any weight on it. Behind them, Just's group was still following, but his control over the others was starting to crack. In the middle of the marsh, Just announced a break. Lila objected because stopping meant losing Irvin, then cut herself loose and pushed ahead on her own. Just stormed after her without watching where he was stepping and dropped into a hidden swamp pit. Jan was the only one who helped drag him out. Irvin collected the slug-like creatures they had seen earlier and began eating them raw. Christy looked horrified, but he told her survival does not care what you find disgusting. So she forced herself to do it too. While they rested, Christy pushed again for answers, and this time Irvin finally gave them. He admitted that he had once been one of the president's closest advisors who helped build the system. But Irvin explained that he had not been caught by accident. He had turned himself in. He had tried to expose the corruption at the heart of the government. And when that failed, he chose Exile on purpose. Before doing it, he planted a hidden virus in the system that would slowly tear apart the machinery of control. Once the collapse started, only he would know how to stop it. That meant the government needed him alive, even while pretending it wanted him dead. The network was glitching. Satellites were failing, and the main system was demanding a code no one else knew. Out in the swamp, things only got worse. Lila and the others thought they had caught up to Irvin and Christy. Instead, they found prisoners who had survived in the swamp so long that they were barely human anymore. These feral exiles attacked without warning. In the chaos, Maria was taken. Her screams reached Christy, who wanted to run back and help, but Irvin held her in place because anyone who went back there was only going to die with her. Christy was shattered. She could not understand how anyone could invent a punishment this cruel, a sentence that turned people into food, monsters, or ghosts. And then Irvin said the one thing she never expected to hear. It had been his idea. He had once believed exile was more humane than direct execution. He had thought giving people a chance, however slim, was better than simply ending them. Standing there in that nightmare, he finally saw what his merciful idea had become. Christie was disgusted. She told him maybe it would have been better if the border fence had burned him alive before any of this started. Irvin did not argue. Overwhelmed by what he had created, he ran off and shouted into the darkness, almost inviting the swamp to take him. But nothing came. And when he came back, Christie told him the captain had offered her freedom if she killed him, and she had refused. That changed something between them. Elsewhere, Yost and John caught up with Lila. Cornered, Lila admitted everything. She had been promised freedom if she delivered Irvin. The proof was a tracker hidden in her ankle. Yost wanted it out, but before anything could be done, Lila ran. Strange web-like strands shot up, caught her, and wrapped around her body until she could not move or breathe. The swamp erased her just as coldly as it erased everyone else. Not long after, Valentine found a bag lying on the ground. The moment he opened it, a dark substance burst out and covered him, killing him in seconds. The government had changed its orders again. Irvin was no longer to be brought back alive. They wanted him erased, so Matthias was sent after him. Soon after, John approached Irvin and Christie, claiming he had left Yost's side. Christie wanted to believe him, but Irvin did not. He was right not to. A thrown metal object slammed into his head, dropping him instantly. Yost and the others had been using John as bait. Irvin and Christie were captured. Yost explained that they were close to the old prison colony in the swamp, a ruined place where the forgotten still lived. He wanted to take Irvin there and trade him when the moment was right. Irvin quietly told Christie how she could escape, but she refused to leave him. Then, in the middle of all that fear and blood, she kissed him. Yost had no choice but to carry the weakened Irvin himself as they moved toward the ruined colony. Matthias and government troops arrived there, clearing out the place with brutal force. During the chaos, Job wandered near the colony and saw one of the officers get dragged away by a creature bursting from the ground. Job seized the fallen weapon and slipped inside. Inside the ruined prison, Yost tried to strike a deal with Matthias. He demanded proof that he would be spared if he handed Irvin over. Matthias pretended to cooperate, but planned to kill everyone once he got what he wanted. Yost realized that too late. When he aimed the gun Matthias had given him, it clicked empty. Matthias shot him down and moved on. Then he found Christie and Jan. Jan was killed immediately. Christie was taken hostage. Matthias used her as leverage. He threatened to end her if Irvin did not reveal himself, so Irvin stepped out. Job, now armed, reached him from another direction, and the two formed a plan. Irvin surrendered himself to buy Christie a chance. Matthias shoved her aside, certain he had already won. Then everything flipped. Yost, somehow still alive, came from behind and drove a blade into Matthias's head. Matthias fired one last shot as he fell, and Christie dropped two. But luckily, it was only a tranquilizer round. Broken and dying, Yost asked for poison so he would not be torn apart slowly by the swamp. Irvin gave it to him. After that, only Irvin, Christie, and Job kept moving. Eventually, they reached the Happy Islands, or looked like them. Irvin noticed they were moving. They were not islands at all. They were floating masses of swamp growth, thick enough to hold weight if used the right way. So instead of giving up, the three climbed onto one and pushed away from the shore, turning it into a raft. Without Irvin's code, the total control machine that ruled XT-59 was beginning to eat itself alive. On the raft, Job's wound kept getting worse. He understood before anyone said it out loud. If all three stayed on, none of them might survive. So he said goodbye and slipped into the water. Seconds later, something below pulled him under. That sacrifice bought Irvin and Christie a chance to keep going. A government aircraft found them soon after, but by then the failing system had spread too far. Without proper control, the aircraft crashed into the water. Ahead of them was a violent drop in the water, like a giant intake or waterfall. Irvin quickly folded the floating turf around them like a cocoon and told Christie to hold her breath. The current dragged them down in a brutal rush, but the makeshift shell protected them enough to keep them alive. When they washed ashore again, they had reached a hidden military evacuation point. Irvin knew there was a bunker nearby with a ship inside, but the access code had one problem. He knew every digit except the last one, and the system would only give them 2 chances. Irvin started working through the possibilities, but Christie remembered something more important than logic. The president had once answered Irvin's chocolate bar riddle incorrectly. That wrong answer stayed with her. She told Irvin what digit to try. First, he intentionally entered a wrong code just to make sure the system was still active. Then he entered the real one using the number Christie had remembered. The bunker opened. Inside was a small escape ship, but there was another cruel twist. It only had one seat. Irvin told Christie to go without him. Christie refused. She told him she loved him. Love beat logic. Irvin found a way to squeeze both of them in, and together they finally left XT-59 behind. Later, the wider League of Free Worlds learned what was happening on that planet. Peacekeeping forces moved in. The control system was torn down, and the truth finally reached the people who had been kept blind for so long. But the ending does not pretend humanity learned its lesson. 10 years later, a new system rises on XT-59, and somehow it is even worse.